There is a quiet dread sitting in the background of almost every industry right now. It's the feeling that something new is coming for the skills you've spent years, maybe decades, building. This chart shows exactly how widespread that feeling actually is. When surveyed, 38% of employed adults in the US said they worry AI will make their job obsolete. In the UK, it's 27%. We are talking about more than 1 in 3 working people globally looking at their careers and wondering if they are about to be replaced. In 2026, psychotherapist Ben Yalom pointed out why this specific fear cuts so deep. When you worry about AI taking your place, it doesn't process in your brain like a standard corporate downsizing. Instead, it lands like a deep personal judgment. It feels like the universe is telling you that you are no longer needed, that all the late nights, the hard-won lessons, and the specific expertise you developed are suddenly worthless. That terror comes from a very specific mistake we make about our own value. We have spent so long doing mechanical work that we have started to confuse our uniquely human worth with our mechanical output. To see what happens when we test that fear against reality, look at a 2025 Google study conducted in the UK. They wanted to measure AI adoption specifically among women aged 55 and older. This line graph plots the group's baseline adoption before any training. You can see the weekly use mark sitting at just 17%, while daily use was down at 9%. Less than 1 in 10 were using the technology every day. Researchers then introduced a short, structured training program. For 12 weeks, they didn't try to turn these women into programmers. They simply showed them how the tools worked. 3 months later, weekly use climbed to 56%. Daily use tripled to 29%. The gap between the people who feel terrified and the people who feel confident has nothing to do with age, desire, or intelligence. It is entirely a gap in exposure. People who feel left behind just haven't had the right door opened for them yet. Take Harvey Lieberman. He's an 81-year-old clinical psychologist in New York who spent his entire career sitting with people in distress. In 2025, he wrote an essay for the New York Times, not as a tech enthusiast, but as a skeptic trying a professional experiment. He titled it, "ChatGPT may not understand, but it made understanding possible." He expected to play around with the software for a few weeks and move on. Instead, a full year later, he was still using it. He wasn't treating it as a replacement for human connection, and certainly not as a therapist. He started using it like an interactive journal. The software simply engaged with his ideas seriously enough to help him see his own thoughts more clearly. Lieberman's experience suggests a more useful framing for this technology: extension. When seen through that lens, the question changes from whether AI will take your job to whether AI will help you do your job better than someone who refuses to use it. To get to that level of extension, you have to draw a hard, undeniable dividing line between what actually makes you valuable and what a machine can actually do. Here's what the software is genuinely good at: summarizing long documents, formatting disorganized notes, and expanding brief bullet points into coherent prose. It excels at generating options, answering well-defined questions, and conducting rapid research across multiple sources. But it fails elsewhere. It lacks the ability to understand the subtle subtext of a difficult conversation, or make a judgment call when a situation is genuinely ambiguous. It can't leverage years of built trust to maintain a relationship. And it certainly doesn't know the difference between what your client says they want and what they actually need. The people thriving in this environment identify the right tasks to hand over while sharpening their focus on the parts of the job that require their specific human judgment. Think about your average working day, not the exceptional days and not the days when everything is on fire, just a normal day. Mentally divide your hours into 2 categories. First, calculate the time you spend on genuine judgment calls and conversations. Then, calculate the time you spend on repetitive, mechanical, busy work, like drafting emails you've practically written 100 times before. When most people do this honestly, they realize that second list of busy work is much longer than they expected. That second list is exactly where this technology earns its place. Once you let a tool clear out the mechanical tasks, you finally have the time to live exclusively in the first list, doing the work that actually requires you. This shift offers a recovery of the hours that were never really yours to begin with.